Hello, everybody.
Hi, hi.
Given a couple minutes for some people to join us. As you can tell by the table there, we got a lot of books that we're gonna go over. Some are brand new. Others maybe have been out for a little while and thought maybe they need some attention that they weren't getting. And if there's one anybody might want to see first, feel free to put it in the comments. And if you'd like to claim one, put that in the comments and we'll set it aside for you. We were also thinking, it's been suggested, all of those little yellow Post-it note tabs are where, we were pointing out important or interesting things about the book. And if you want, we can leave those tabs in there. Had a few people go, where was that in the book? And go, well, you know what? Maybe we can just leave those.
Yeah, so if you're interested in a book and our markers that go with it,
we'll leave Amy. Them. Yeah, we'll definitely leave them for you. Just waiting for all the tech to catch up and get ready for us. But yeah, there's quite a few books because we are book nerds, book lovers.
That we are.
How is everybody doing? Let us know how you're doing in the comments. Hello, everybody joining. We are everywhere, so we're just waiting for bonjour.
And let us know where you're from. We might not be familiar. Are you local? Put in a city, a state. Say hello.
Yeah, we are just outside Cleveland, North Olmsted. We can ship to you. But let us know where you're watching from. How'd you find us?
Tell us all the things. We want to know.
From Berea. Robert is in Berea.
Hey, shout out to Berea. That's where I live.
Not too far. Did you get that storm that was passing over? And it sounds like it's gone already.
It does sound like it's gone.
We will not melt on the way out to the car. All right. From Alberta, Canada. Hey.
Nice.
Sheffield Lake.
Hi, Sheffield.
I drove by and stopped. Well, thanks for stopping in. Yes, it got me moist. Everybody's favorite word to hate. I don't mind it. One of my employees hates the word mulch and another one hates moist. So I'm like, who has some moist mulch? And you would hear them both go, All right.
Yeah, don't bother me.
If anybody has a book they want us to start with, go ahead and shout it out. We'll get going. I think things are revving up here. Everything seems to be holding. No flickering service with the passing storm. Hello. A few more people joining over there on Insta. Did you have a book you would want to start with, Sandy?
No, I liked them all.
You liked them all?
I liked them all. I don't know. What do we want to start with?
Do you know?
Botanical wellness. Well,
sure.
Let's start then.
Was that one mine or yours?
That is yours.
That is all my handwriting.
This is the one. We have a request from Robert.
There we go.
So I have to pawn it off to Melissa so she can read her bits and pieces.
Yeah. So for those of you who may have seen some of the other ones, we have done some of Amy Blackthorn's books before. I do enjoy her writing. She writes very easy to understand without talking down to you. So it's The Green Witch's Guide to Self-Care. One of the first spots that I put off is why am I being called out? Read again for those in the back. So the healing power of rest, which is overlooked a lot. And she goes over it, how it affects your energetic ability, your ability for doing your intention work and why it's important, and some medical references in with that. So felt that was something nowadays more people need to pay attention to. As well as the daily potions, daily care, water not enough. So uses of how to use your water. And the fact that water is never lost. So even when it evaporates, it's the moisture in the air. So there is a lot of magical workings you can do with water. such as like daydreaming, setting that intention while holding the water, then drinking it for the magical effect. And since water is literally anywhere, if you're connecting to with like your glass of water, you can then make that energetic connection to the water in the atmosphere around you, which I never thought to kind of do that. So in here, it goes in with mother and child bonding, postpartum, the care with that, how to strengthen the bond between mother and child, encouraging people to communicate cordially. So there's a lot of family stuff in here too, assisting with communication. I forgot to write down what we were doing here. How to know if you're holding on to emotions in your body. I'm sure everybody has heard how your body stores emotions. It can lead into illness or dis-ease. And she gives some examples, like pain in your upper back and shoulders, your trapezoids, I can't say that word, your scapulae, usually caused by turtling or scrunching your head down and your shoulders up. It's protective gesture many people don't even realize they're doing. It's linked to the freeze response, telling us to make ourselves a smaller target as possible. I have chronic upper back pain.
I do too.
So-
Always through my shoulders, my neck. But I don't know that it's turtling. I just thought that's where I carried my stress.
And I will also mention in the healing work that I do for people, if there is negative energy on a person, especially sent from another, it's always from the upper back of your neck to the middle of your shoulder blades, and that's where it'll be carried.
Nice.
There is something to be said for that whole stab in the back. And pain in hands, forearms, feet is linked with the fight response, and more pointedly attempting to control the fight response. We can notice clenching fists and arms and rooting our feet to the earth in order to drive more power into a punch. So I just thought this might be something for people if you're like, why is this always hurting? Take a look at that and see if that's something that you might be experiencing and how to get in touch with your own body. How to create a servitor, and she goes into what they are, how to work with them, how to have them set in your working. So I've heard a lot of people kind of bringing up servitors lately. They become a little more popular. So this could be a book to help answer those questions for you. And again, she speaks very well without talking down to you. How to create a sigil for your magical need. And she goes over magic squares, which aren't covered that often.
No, they're not.
Self-care petition examples. So she's going over quite a bit. Goes over astrological. I myself don't pay attention to that, but I know a lot of other people do. So you may find that helpful and interesting. Where your moon might be. I believe mine is in Libra, so that's a lot to read. I was going to read that quickly, but they're all, that's a lot. We're not going to summarize that. Where's your moon at? Do you remember?
Sag.
You're in Sag. Oh, yours is quicker. Rules the mutable fire sign associated with travel, adventure, freedom. Aligned with the difference between right and wrong, this sign is good if you need to appeal to someone's sense of moral righteousness or rightness, and if you're not sure yourself if they even have one. Write that petition under the light of the Sagittarius moon.
Definitely the traveler is.
The travelers.
That's for me.
And there's a whole section for tarot to be used in wellness. So if you're looking for new ways to use all of your tarot decks that you have laying around the house.
Look at that. There's the first one, or everybody's favorite, the Fool.
Yes, he starts the journey.
He does.
The tarot is a story of the Fool and his travels. So, so for the Fool would be new beginnings, leap of faith, reverse meanings, lack of foresight or planned protection or action. So these are instances in where you would want to use the cards, how to use them. There's layouts. So different ways of adding tarot into your wellness regimen. I know a lot of people will have a deck that they are the only ones that touch when they read from themselves. I would probably highly suggest whatever tarot deck or decks you use for your healing work to keep those aside. Maybe not let everybody and their brother or sister touch.
I don't
Your
know if you
healing
can
deck.
see the cover now, but it's Botanical Wellness.
Yeah, by Amy Blackthorne. And that book is $21.95. That's a decently thick book, enough to keep you entertained. And if somebody wants this copy, I'll leave all my Post-it notes in there for you, so you can find everything I just went over quicker.
All right. Tag me in.
Tag
Go.
team,
Go.
next. So here's the fun thing. Some of my other employees were like, "You guys are going to be there till midnight." We're like, "No, we won't." So we have a bet running.
Yeah, we'll see. Any other requests before I pick one? Anybody?
Do you have the Holistic Witch over there? Yes. Shell Atkins.
Yes. The Holistic Witch. I did not put one sticky note in this book, which is by Sean Robbins and Leanna Greenway. And the reason I didn't is because I love this entire book.
The whole thing would be a yellow Post-it note.
The whole thing would be full of Post-it notes. It really would. This covers so much, and it's not too much at the same time. I don't even know where to begin because I loved it. And I was very careful with the spine. Melissa and I have a love of books. I'm a spine cracker. She is not. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. But holistic energies for self-love, what you should put in that holistic magical toolkit, even tells you kind of where to place them, north, earth, your candle colors, items that correspond. So it's even for somebody who has the knowledge in their craft, this book still is a great little guide. And I mean little just because the book in itself is not large, but it's nice and chunky.
It's a chunky chunk.
It's a chunky book. We even have recipes in there. We have rituals, lucky oil uses. It even talks about, I love the pictures. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but with the wishbone for your lucky oil.
Nice.
There's just so many wonderful things. Let me find something a little more specific. Other magical herbs and their magical correspondence. So this is another great reference. It covers most of your basic. You're not necessarily going to find stuff that's really difficult to locate. There's nothing more frustrating than looking for an herb that's hard to find.
Right.
And trying to figure out what their uses are. Talking about dealing with cranky individuals. I think that's perfect for some reason. That's me. So if someone in your family is constantly grumpy or suffers from irritability, maybe I need to make this, so that's why I got here. Lemons are amazing at drawing out those harmful feelings, leaving a person invigorated and more optimistic. So you just need organic lemons, a serrated knife, a small dish, a quarter cup of sugar, and a medium-sized bowl. And then the ritual is right here. It's very easy. Not only do they work beautifully with the sun, they're also close associates of the moon. So the night before you want to cast your spell, you're going to chop your lemons into small pieces with your serrated knife, leave the rind on, and place them on a small dish. Take the dish of lemons outside and leave it overnight on the porch or doorstep under the moon's rays. During the moon's waxing phase is ideal. If you're in an apartment, you can leave them on a moonlit windowsill. Or if you worry about critters. I don't know what would be drawn to lemons, but you never know.
Raccoons, just
bugs, I don't know.
Trash pandas, like everything.
Right. And then the next evening, those are my spirit animals.
I know. That's why I'm like,
They
yours
really
will
are.
come get it.
Yes, they would. So, and then it just tells you what to do. You'll put the sugar and the meat in the bottom of a medium-sized bowl, put the lemons on top, put it in their bedroom, place it on a nightstand or a table near, or better still, under their bed. And during the nights that follow, the lemons will draw out any negativity, leaving a happy mood behind. So I like that they give you options too throughout this book, regardless of where you live. How to cast out money worries is another example.
Is that casting out the unpaid roommate? Is that what it says? Get rid of your roommate?
Yes. Money worries. No. More magical onion tips. We all know there's a lot of healing power in onions.
Mm-hmm.
They're good for a lot of things. And it goes on talking about making body magic using olive oil. Some of the uses, whether it's makeup remover
Nice.
or things like that. It's just packed full. Talking about your gardens and your house being enchanted. Again, easy things that you can incorporate. What they're for. There's just so much packed in here. So much. And
so these books, we do carry them in the store. Now the Holistic Witch Fair, we're down to one already, but I am going to order more. So whoever wants it, speak up first. But I think Shell was like, I will be in this weekend. But Robert, if you were wanting a copy, we can put your name down, give you a call.
And this one is $16.99. I think it's a great
That's
price.
a really great price.
It
And
is.
it's a hardback.
It's a hardback. There's a place for notes. And it just has so much information packed into it. It really does.
So Botanical Wellness, obviously we have that copy.
And again, the only reason there's no posties here is because I didn't find anything specific that I felt needed to be called out. The whole book is just fantastic. It is really, I'll go on the waiting list. I was going to take this book home tonight if nobody wanted it, but I'm happy to hear people do. It is a great book.
Yeah,
so I'm going to set this aside.
I'm going to put Shell's name on that one. And then Robert, do me a favor, and I hope you can hear me since I'm across the store right now. Message us your phone number in a DM to the store so we can call you when it comes in.
While we're doing that, no good book should be read without a bookmark.
That's right.
So we have a few that are wood. I love these. Here's your quitter strip. It's where you gave up. I like this one because this does happen. Not often when I'm reading, but I fell asleep here.
Have you smacked yourself in the face where your book just kind of fell at you? And
yes.
You're like,
no, and I love to read in the tub because I just do.
Oh, please say you don't drop your tablet or your books in the tub.
No, I have never dropped my tablet in because it is magnetic and I have an old cast iron tub. So the magnetic cover will kind of stick to the edge for me. But I have lost a book and had to rebuy one because there was just no saving it. Books are my spirit animal and don't bother me. I'm reading.
That's right. Right. Those ones are actually wooden. So
these are wooden. These are awesome. And they're $5 each if anybody's interested in one of our wooden bookmarks.
So what is the difference between Kitchen Witch and House Witch? So Kitchen Witch is usually craft work done through cooking, baking, things that have to do with the kitchen and the spaces and tools in the kitchen. House Witch tends to be
all-encompassing.
Yeah, all-encompassing, where they don't focus everything just in the kitchen. And tends to be more of like your land and the structure of the house in a way, but it can be they do overlap, but Kitchen Witch is mainly like the cooking and the baking, and some people don't even realize that they might be, like that grandma who no matter what they cooked, everybody felt better, everybody was happier, everybody just
a lot of people don't realize they really are kitchen witches.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you. Chris, do you want a copy of the book or are you doing me too? Because you're here on Twitch for me.
Oh, somebody else has lost a book to the tub.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Michelle, good. Hey, Hank. I've gotten close to dropping an e-reader in the tub and fumbled it, and thankfully it fell outside the tub and did not crack. But I was almost like, I'd rather you crack than fall in.
Yes.
Because no amount of rice is going to fix that.
No, and my e-reader, if my tub is hot enough, it yells at me like, you can't charge this. There's moisture detected.
It's like, you will electrocute
I'm like,
your damn
all right, let it relax.
Right.
It'll dry out.
Anybody have a recommendation or
I
request?
do not believe anybody has claimed the botanical wellness at this point.
I know. Let us know if you want it. But if somebody wants to see the next book,
Chakra and chakra healing. was
Oh, that one's
requested.
yours.
That's me again. Here
That's
I
you.
come. Ready or not, don't fall over.
Yeah, don't fall in the chair right behind me.
So this one, ugh. So the Big Book of Chakras and Chakra Healing by
Very
Susan
foreboding.
Shimsky. I'm going to tell you that this book is not for beginners. If you have an established Reiki understanding, then I say yes. You can delve deeper into this book, but it is definitely not for beginners. With that being said, it does kind of read textbook-like to me. But within the introduction, I will say that this person has been practicing for over 50 years. So again, this is not somebody who's a novice by any means, which is kind of neat that this author has that. Now I won't take away the sticky tabs. One of the things that I did point out within here, and I think this is really cool, is that there are names of the vital energy or spirit in both ancient and modern worlds, and they list the culture, the equivalent name, and it's continued into 2 columns. So for example, in the Congo, they call it, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but Alima, where of course we know in it as what chi. I can't use my words today.
Words are hard.
They are.
Okay.
And in your early Europe, it was the ether. I thought that was interesting. But they have them in so many different ones. So even North American indigenous folks, for Algonquin, Apache, Chickasaw, the Crow, so many different regions and what they call it. So we all know, or maybe you don't know, that Reiki's been around probably before anything that I can remember. It just dates back. It's so ancient. And she even lists out the researchers and their areas of study. For example, David Boehm was in a quantum field. Like that's what he studied. And quantum physics and Reiki kind of do go hand in hand, or the idea of energy work.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And because this delves deeper into the chakras, it's not just the traditional 7. They give additional points, and they cover it in a few different cultures, which is interesting. But they have figures as far as showing you where each chakra is located. So there's chakra 1. It also talks about the petals of the lotus and what they correspond to, how many petals each area has, what element it relates to, what colors. Again, you can see in detail, it really goes on and on and on. And that's why I say it's not necessarily for the beginner.
Right. That's going to be your deep dive rabbit hole.
Yes, this is definitely going to be a deeper dive. And then here is your second chakra.
Go ahead and say that one.
Yeah. Svastashindatana. I'm probably butchering it, and I don't want to do too much injustice. But this is a water element. Again, here's the lotus. Here's the petals. What it means. It's only 6 lotus petals. And then it continues on. Chakra 3, the Manipura, and how to move it, and what energy is about, and how to get into there deeper. How to open it. It's related to the fire element. It's 10 lotus points. And again, here's another chakra. And as you can see, it's continuously moving up the spine until you finally get to... Wait, we have so many more. This one. There's one that also has, I believe it was 1,000 petals or 100 petals. So there is so much in this book. And again, they diagram out where these locations are.
Nice.
So definitely a really neat book. There is a lot of information in here, more than I could probably absorb if I had truly owned this book and wanted to work with this. This is a book that, depending on your learning speed, I would say for somebody like me who's aware of chakras, who's aware of Reiki, it would still probably take me a year to really get through, do all the practices, do the meditations that are provided.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a huge amount of information. And this book, while it's not super thick, it definitely has a ton of information. And it even says it right on the back cover. This book is for seekers. And it really is. If you're seeking to dive deeper, this is a great one to go to.
Nice.
And this one is $24.95.
Hey, Brooke. And give me a minute because I'm going to do the next one because somebody requested the spell book or spell jar for beginners, and then I'll find a Reiki book for beginners for you. And real quick, anybody who is claiming things, do me a favor and send an email to goddessstatellc@gmail.com and let me know everything that you wanted to claim to make sure I have everything for you. And if you need me to ship it for you, and we can get you an invoice. So goddesselitellc@gmail.com. Please and thank you. Let me set that down. And let's see, the spell jar book for beginners. And you're right, there are a lot of tabs. And let us know too if you want us to leave the tabs in there for you. So I like doing jars and I like doing candle stuff. So when I found this book, I'm like, ooh, I hope it's as fun as I think it's fun. So
Spell jars are fun.
Especially if you're a hands-on crafty type person. So you get the origin of the spell jars, and they started in Mesopotamia, and they used to be blue for protection, and they were the combination or the unification of land to sky, and how it incorporated the energy of both realms. But they were blue, and if you think of like that, how that evil eye is always blue, and a lot of protection is blue. The spell jars way back in the day were blue. So she's doing a great job. So many people do abundance and money work, but they don't realize there's a difference between prosperity and abundance. Mm-hmm. So she does a great job explaining that and how to work them and the different types of jars you would do for that. Next. The shapes of your jars, what they mean, how to use them, which spells to use them in.
I would have never really given it much thought, to be honest, with regards
material,
to the shape.
Glass versus ceramic versus, clay. So she covers all of that. Let's see, the timing, the season, moon phase, planets and associations. I personally, especially if it's something for healing or money, I say make it when you need it. Don't wait a week and a half, especially if you're in a time of kind of like desperation. Maybe the engine went out and now you got a doctor's appointment on top of it. Go ahead and make it. But if you're in a situation where it's best to time it if you can, then she gives all of those correlations and the best times to do it.
And sometimes you may even just have your own personal power time, where you feel the best or most inspired.
How to make a pendulum bottle. I've been seeing those becoming popular on some of the social platforms. Make your own step-by-step guide on how to do it, how to use it, how to make the classic witch bottle.
I love those.
So step-by-step, how to do it. Motor City Magic, how to protect your car.
So you don't need a necromancer to get it back up and running?
That's right. Arise. Chocolate covered strawberry salt. So then she gives you other type of recipes to use and to use in other jars and other spells. So I was like, chocolate covered strawberry salts. That sounds very fun. Let's see what else.
Best Witches Forever.
Mm-hmm. So Best Witches Forever, strengthening friendships, heartache, jars for those, very specific. the home guardian spirit, seasonal affective disorder jar spell.
That's perfect for this time of the year where we live.
Yes. So if you're in Ohio, Michigan,
The
somewhere
northern
where,
U.S.
where the sun
or
comes out
Canada.
for 3 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
this could be a good one to look into. How to do moon water. There's been interest of more people wanting to do their own moon waters. So here, the Dirty Witch. A lot of people are associated with or know of the association of grave dirt. But did you know, go get the dirt from a hospital and use that in healing. Go get it from a library for learning and studying, especially if you're a parent making a jar for kids in school.
How clever, because no, I wouldn't have thought.
Yes.
And grave dirt can be tricky, right? Like
it can, and there is another one of these down here. I think it's the Mountain Conjure. That it goes over how to properly acquire and what to do to get your grave dirt. So I just found that interesting. And I'm like, I bet nobody would have thought to go to the hospital.
I wouldn't have.
And grab dirt. In your next doctor's appointment, pretend to drop something and
Scoop up some dirt.
But birthday star jar. But it's fun. Glossary, good references. This book is $14.99. If anybody wants it, I'll leave all of my little posties in there for you. But it's a trade paperback size. And she did kind of color coordinate it for you for the different chapters. But 60 enchanting spells to focus your power and unleash your magic using jars.
Right. Dr. Mystical asks, isn't all water moon water? A moderator explained once that since all water is outside, originally, it all comes to us as moon water.
You know what, Mike? Quit rating on my book parade. But yeah, I can see that.
It could be.
Yeah, well, and just like I also tell people, and I'm like, for those that always feel like that need and that anxiety that they need one of every crystal, but they can't afford it, or they don't have the room, or they're getting a hard time from a significant other. Like, they all come out of the ground and you're standing on it, right? You can pull that energy up through.
Yep.
You don't necessarily always have to have it, but it's easier for us, right? To say, oh, it's in my pocket, therefore I welcome that energy, versus like, oh, I have to make the concerted effort now.
Well, or
to find it, pull it up.
Right. And, some people who shield every day before they leave the house, right? It becomes second nature,
Mm-hmm.
but people forget there's other ways to put
Mm-hmm.
those shields up,
Yeah.
and for different purposes. It's not just, I don't want your ugly energy on me.
Right. So if anybody wants that one, put it in the chat for me. I'm going to go look for that beginner Reiki book for Anne over on TikTok.
I agree. I think it's definitely intention, whatever we put into the water at the time that we're using it. I regret that I didn't have a bottle on my person to run out. We just had a good storm, and I think storm water also is kind of cool. And no, I don't believe that all rain is awesome. Thank you. All rain is storm water, because some is nice and gentle and loving. While she is running to check on those, the beginner Reiki book, does anybody have another book they see on the table that they'd like us to look at next? There are so many books, Shell, we got you down too, so we're good that way.
Yeah, that's why there's a bet of how long we will be here going through all the books.
There are so many good ones.
So one of the first ones I'm going to show, Practical Reiki for Beginners. Fun side note. If you go into any Cleveland clinic and you see Reiki listed on the wall, they are using Practical Reiki. Alice Langholt, who I believe was originally from Ohio and she's moved to DC, she was the one who got Reiki into the normie hospital setting, mm-hmm. using Practical Reiki. The fun thing with Practical Reiki and the original very first Reiki didn't have all those hand positions and symbols. Somebody else added those. Was the intention and channeling of the energy. And that's what's being used in the clinic. So she It's not a very big book. It is independently published. And of course, this one doesn't have the price on it, but I think it's like 15. How to do it, what it means, some of the history. There is a workbook that can go with it. When Lucinda is teaching Reiki in the store, she's doing practical Reiki. But it explains how you can use it for yourself, how to use it for people, places, and events. So you're a parent, you got a young one who has a test coming up and they want to make sure they do as well on the test as they can. You can send Reiki to the test taking event and for the child.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Energy, people don't, we don't always, sometimes people limit, right, what energy can do.
mhm.
And they forget that you can do so much with it.
So Reiki for beginners goes into a little more depth. This one is going to be focused a little more on the Usui Reiki, which has all of those symbols, the hand positions, all of that other stuff that was added in after the original Reiki was coming out. And this one goes over like how Reiki can affect your thinking, your mind, how it can benefit. So it's a little more in depth, but it also, again, focuses around a type of Reiki that requires more effort in putting out. So, but it is Reiki for beginners, written very well, easy to understand. This one is $15.99. And then for some really basic chakra guide for beginners, it goes over so much. Associated stones, the principles, the body parts associated for which each chakra, colors, all that fun stuff. Stones that can be associated with it, how to tell if a chakra is blocked or not functioning properly. Even a little quick thing on pets. This guide is only $10. I've got like 2 or 3 of them over there if somebody wants or needs one. But even for somebody that maybe has been around Reiki, but you want to use it for your animals or likes having a quick guide to reference. Mm-hmm. This little fold out guide is pretty nice. $10.
Yeah, you can't beat that one.
But
all right, you're up.
I'm up. Does somebody request something?
No, nothing is requested that I can see.
Okay. Let me see here. Pull my sleeves up without stretching them out.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. We covered sigils in one of the other books real quick. This one is not newer. It's been out for maybe about 1.5 years, but sigil work is becoming more popular. And again, I think because of all of the stuff going around on the socials. So, Laura?
Sigils are also a great way to protect a building without it being obvious, right? Mm-hmm. A school, a hospital, your car.
So she gives some history, explains the difference between, some of the different kinds like Veves and Old World, other workings. But what I liked is she went through and some of the most basic shapes and markings that you'll find in some of the sigils and Veves, what they mean, how to draw them, how to incorporate them, what they represent. And then, she gives you space to put down your thoughts and feelings on this. So she goes over.
And even practice.
Quite a bit. And then she gives you examples. But where is it? So there's different ways of making sigils, and this is more of like these kind. There's the angelic one. There's the one where you need the alphabet wheel, and but she's focusing mainly on these, and I think that's what more people are seeing online. And a fun thing about her, this author, Laura Tempest Zakharoff, if you look her up online, she's very active on Facebook and I do believe Instagram. I follow her more on Facebook. When certain things arise, she gives a free sigil that she comes up with. And she's like, here, everybody who needs a little extra strength right now. I created this, use it for all your personal that you want. So, and she's very active. And she's actually been in the area before teaching. We had her here teaching off of one of her other books. So, but she gives some examples, like here's a healing sigil that you can use. So great examples already given, how to make your own. So these ones to me almost are like more artwork than what I would use in sigil casting. But I started off where you're using names and you're crossing out letters and you're making shapes with those and you're using the alphabet wheel and you're putting that in there. So,
Mhm.
but Sigil Witchery by Laura and 1999. So use a sigil, put it on a piece of paper, throw it in your spell jar.
Yes.
You can combine the two.
You can even use, again, like I said, anoint a building with a sigil,
Mhm.
protect a school, a library, a historic home, whatever.
Yep.
It's a nice way to add some magic without it being obvious and the whole world sees it.
It's none of their business.
None, yeah. I'm going to talk about From Earth next. This is Create Your Own Natural Apothecary by Charlotte Rasmussen.
Hey, Peyton.
This book is beautiful. Without even getting to tabs, I'm just going to flip. Lots of beautiful pictures, lots of good information. This author actually grew up in, I think, Denmark. So when you think about those areas, they don't have all the junk and preservatives and artificial things that we allow here.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, she talks about how she grew up with that as well. Her grandmother, her mother, they all did everything from scratch. You have a sore throat, we'll make the remedy. You are sick, I'll make the soup.
Mm-hmm.
That was her actual raising. And so I thought, well, that's going to make this book really challenging because the everyday person isn't going to be able to duplicate what's in here. I was wrong.
Oh.
Her recipes are easy. Everything is very well explained. And you can make everything from cough medicine to your own, who doesn't love beachy waves? So you can make your own hair salt spray. And she's got everything in here as far as how to do it, where to go, what to do.
I got you, Chris.
And she talks about your equipment. She talks about the difference between dried botanicals, carrier oils, which ones you can use safely for your skin, how they're rated with regards to how long you get that feeling or how long they sit on the skin, making butters. And she also talks a lot about hydrosol. And hydrosol has to do with the process of making your own essential oils using herbs. And it's the water that separates. It's not the actual oil. So it has some of the benefits that come out of, let's say, rose petals,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the same as rose oil. So it's a little less potent, but it really becomes good then for room mists or for even moisturizing mists, refreshing mists on your face. And then some of her recipes call for this later in the book, but she's already explained it to you. So you
Nice.
don't have to go, well, what is she talking about? She talks about wintergreen, the uses of hemp, the benefits, the recipe, what the uses are. And so some of the recipes, as an example, with wintergreen are muscle relaxants, body butters, and then she tells you what page it's on. When you get to that, she even goes in and says, if you're pregnant, if you're lactating, do not use these herbs or do not
Nice.
use this product. So there are warnings where they're warranted. The uses of hemp, it's pretty, it's become really popular lately. A little more mainstream, a little easier to get. As an example, for PMS, what you need for depression, if you have stress and anxiety. And again, she tells you what she suggests, but then she also, like, headaches, migraines, cramps, stomach cramps. And then, for example, sage. Right here was the warning. Sage should not be taken by breastfeeding mums. Mums, because then they move. So mum, M-U-M, not mom, mums.
Mummy.
As it may lower the milk supply. But as an essential oil, it should not be used during pregnancy either. However, it's safe in foods. So you can get some of the benefits, and she tells you how.
Nice.
Yeah. Wait, there's more. She gives a guide for creating your own blends. Again, it goes back to very simple, not hard to find base ingredients, how to make stuff. She gives you good directions. The stuff for citrus, the uses for woods, resins, exotics, spice, herbals.
You said exotics.
I did say exotics. Arr. Like right here, how to make organic antibacterial face toner. She
Nice.
tells you what size bottle. Organic. Again, she really does emphasize organic simply because it is going on your face. It's going on your skin. But here it is, the hydrosol, tea tree. And these, again, are not straight oils. This is, again, what she talked about in the very beginning of the book. Here's another one that was interesting, how to make your own body butter. And I guess it's winter because, you know, so everybody's dry. At least I am.
It's not just body butter. It's lush
body butter. And again, she even gives you shelf lives. So if you've made some of these products, she'll tell you how long they're good for.
Nice.
And so natural salty hairspray. I thought that was cool because, I mean, beach waves were all the rave and they're going to come back around. And before we know it, will be summer here in our hemisphere.
I mean, we'll get summer for about 3 weeks before it's fall again.
Stress and anxiety. Again, here are some of the easy to follow, not hard to come up with recipes.
It's got really nice pictures to go with it.
They do. And so everything is really easy to follow. And this one is From Earth, Create Your Own Natural Apothecary. And this book is only $22.95.
And it's a hardback.
And it is a hardback. Again, beautiful pictures. All kinds of neat things. If you have a runny nose, what to do for that too.
Nice.
So this one I really enjoyed. Think about that.
Think about it. Think
Think about it.
I got your Sigil Witchery set aside for you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you. Which one do I want to talk about next? Or do you guys want to tell me which one I'm talking about next? Table's actually getting kind of empty. We're getting through it.
So proud of us.
I know. And then we have to turn around and start reading again. We want to try and do this, more regularly, like once a month?
Once a month to maybe every other month.
Yeah. There's so many books that come out that it's hard to keep up with. And like today, there was more tarot and book, and I'm like, I don't have time to read it in the 30 minutes.
Everything comes in.
So I forget what live, maybe it was our last one. There was a live that I mentioned this really quick. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go through this one a little more. The Old Girl's Book of Spells by Cal Garrison. This one is $16.95. Very short and sweet, to the point on some of these spells. There's not a lot of like back chatter of how they decided they were going to share that one, because sometimes we don't care. Just give us the spell. Kind of like, where's the jump to recipe?
Where's the
button?
Recipe? Yes.
Yeah.
The jump to recipe button.
Don't care. Just give us the goods. So I tagged this one, the spell to heal your connection to your mother or father. There seems to be a lot of diminishing relationship with parents. And I would even say as a parent to a child, because everybody's so stressed, everybody's so overworked, and then you're snapping, you're pulling away. So I thought this one might be beneficial for somebody. And all of things in here are very, very easy to get. A photograph of the parents, white candle, black candle, blue candle, a photograph of yourself, your favorite incense, dust from under the bed. Though if you have carpet, you might have to like clean out your vacuum, sweep up, use that, and then discard the rest. A lock of hair, a piece of blue cloth, string, rose oil, nails, and matches. All stuff that most of you have laying around the house. Very easy directions on what to do. Another one, strengthen the core that bonds you to your kids. So there's kind of like the reverse way, the parent to the child. The broken heart, let me open up to let you in love spell. So this is another, there's a lot of people all the time, broken heart, trying to heal relationships, trying to heal that trauma before you carry it on to somebody else. So there you go for there. A house blessing, because who doesn't need to do a house blessing? And as spring's coming, I know a lot of people are going to be doing the cleansing and the resetting of things and resetting intentions. And if maybe you haven't thought about doing a house blessing in your spring spruce up, here's one that's pretty easy to do. Simple ingredients.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than finding a spell you want to try or do, only to find that there is one ingredient that you can only get when it's harvested on a Tuesday in a month that has the letter R, and it's 4 continents away from you.
Right. I thought this one was cute. Pesto pennies and prosperity charm. And this one's really easy. It's just like putting pennies under your doormat. So fun little easy things to do. There were spells in here about strengthen your money over time so it keeps multiplying, getting better jobs, getting your resume noticed, keeping somebody from stealing from you. And I like the title of some of her spells. Like, it's called the "Hey, hold on there, Buster, this stuff is mine" spell. So really fun. Let's make a deal. Running on empty charms. So if you need a little more vitality and energy on the day when your give a damn has ran out. So this one's fun. Kind of reminds me of some folk magic-y type of stuff, almost like some of that superstition that ended up working and being true after all that ran in the family. But again, $16.99. So if you're somebody that likes collecting spells and spell books, grimoires, this would be a fun one to add. But the Old Girl's Book of Spells.
Nice.
Yeah, trade paperback. There's a lot in there.
Nice, nice.
Switch the positions.
And swish and flick. Magical fairy plants. Ta-da. This one has quite a few posties. So everybody kind of has their own personal take, I believe, on working with the fairies.
Mm-hmm.
And this author, Sandra Kynes, who we have another book on the table by her tonight too, kind of happenstance, but she writes a lot of good things. And the more I read, the more she made me giggle in a good way. So in the beginning, she talks about obviously the folklore and the history of fairy and how to get started. This book, I'm going to say, is not necessarily loaded with pictures. It is all in black and white. So if you're looking for something as far as visually, you're going to have to use this in conjunction with another media form to find what you're looking for. But she talks about where to find them. And she separates nature spirits. She considers one group and fairy the other. And I liked how she described it. She's like, working with nature spirits is like having a dog. They're friendly. They want your attention. They like you. Fairy on the other side is like being a cat. And approaching a cat takes a little bit. Some are going to run right up to you. But most are going to be kind of like, what? I don't know. We'll watch you and see if we want to acknowledge it, that you're there. But she talks about where to find them. She also talks about how to make contact with them, which I thought was interesting. For anybody who watches Wednesdays.
Yeah, with Marianne.
With Marianne, people may be a little hesitant to want to get involved. But she also talks about how to end a relationship with them as well, which I thought was really neat.
Besides just yelling, scram, get out of here,
Get
go away.
out. I've
Quit
had
touching my shit.
enough. Stop moving it. Why can I not find my keys? And then she goes on to talk about the power of 7, because 7 is everything. She even goes through meditation, engaging the breath, how to work through getting yourself prepared to actually begin to make contact. What to put on an altar. and where you can put one indoors or outdoors, do containers, whether you're in a house, whether you're in an apartment.
I'd be like, do you want them in your house?
Right.
Depending on what kind, do you want them in your house?
Right. How to do spells and requests with them, and dream work even with them. How to enter their realm. What to say. Your journey to fairyland.
Don't eat or drink. Do not accept gifts.
So many things, and do not say thank you, right? Your entry points, and so I was waiting for
Is it the mushroom
the ring
circle?
of mushrooms, but a lot of them are trees
Oh, the little holes.
yes,
There's a tree on my old property that has like that very similar type of opening down to the ground. And there were a few times where if something would break, like crystal white, like I would just feel, and I'm like, oh, I got to go give that to that tree. So if somebody were to go reaching down in there,
So my tree that is, I'm not gonna, well, it's my sacred tree, which is in my front yard. It has a hollow now, but it is hysterical because I've watched chipmunks go in it and then all of a sudden they come out on another branch. So it is hollow, but it takes them out to the other side, and it's up higher. It's kind of funny. But then she even tells you what to say. As above, so below, and now within. My journey to fairyland is about to begin. As I enter the realm not so far, I am guided by the fairy star.
nice.
We were talking about pendulums in the jar. Sandra likes to talk about using plants as an actual pendulum. I thought that was pretty neat. I had never thought of that.
No, because I'm like, are they heavy enough to really swing any which way?
A flowered leaf can be used as a pendulum.
Interesting.
And divining rods. So then she goes on talking about liquid tools for magic. Again, hydrosols came up. So I'm glad I did this in order because it wouldn't have made as much sense for everybody. And then we finally get into fairy plants. And these are all in here alphabetically. She gives you the symbolism. So one of my favorites for Cynthia, and it's obviously a bush, and she'll tell you that, or a shrub. She'll give you the magical workings, any fairy folklore that is associated with it. It'll tell you. For Cynthia, actually does not appear in folklore, but it has come to be associated with fairies.
Times change.
Yes.
The landscape changes.
Yes. Honeysuckle. Legends note that honeysuckle marks a fairy place where they like to gather and sometimes live. Fairies are also said to enjoy sipping the sweet nectar. There was also one, and I don't know if I marked it, but I think I did here. There is a plant where it said that they would put their little babies to sleep in the petals. I was like, oh. So lilacs, the fairy folklore. It's no surprise that the sweetly ethereal scent, words are good, of lilac is associated with the fae and attracts them to the garden. A white lilac flower with 5 petals instead of 4 is called a luck lilac and is said to be a gift from the fae. So if you're all into plants and gardens, this will give you an idea what you use your mugwort for. And I'm like, where's mushrooms? Where's mushrooms? It's got to be in here. And there it is. And look at all the fairy folklore associated with that. I mean, it's too much to read. And then they give you the magic workings in here as well. So this one is really neat if you're interested in working with the fae. And
how to do it properly and safely.
Yes, which is very important. Build relationships with fairies and connect with nature. And this is a decent sized book. $24.99. If anybody is brave enough or is interested, I should say, in doing more with the fairies.
Fun times. Those fairies, Marianne would be giving us the side eye right now. She'd be like,
she'd be rolling her eyes. That big head, her eyes would be gone.
yeah.
Her head would bounce backwards with her eye.
I'm going to go to kitchen table magic. So the whole fun point of it's funny. You have books by Sandra, and she's a Melissa. So how funny! Just looked at that and I'm like, oh, not me, wrote this book. Practical, easy things to do, literally at your kitchen table. I kind of skipped all of this front. It was all just to me, like if you're somebody that's been doing spell casting in a while, let's like skip ahead. But yet another money altar, how to maintain it, how to take care of it, how often, what to put on there.
And let's face it, with the cost of eggs, a money altar isn't a bad thing right now.
So petitions and kind of speaking into like the sigils and root working and things like that. And I'm like, and literally, because it's me, she used her own name. How to do the crossing where you write your name, so many times and you flip it and you do it, and you flip it, and how to do that appropriately, how to use it, when to do it, how to put it in. Here's Witch Bottle again. Some people are, because you're new, there's like some jars going on tonight, my theme. How to do the simple honey jar, how to sweeten somebody to your favor. Be it court cases, if you know your judge, the opposing counsel, if you're somebody in school and you feel like there's a certain teacher, professor that just has it out for you for no good reason.
A boss, a coworker.
A shitty neighbor who just tries to get you in trouble with the homeowners association. Like stick them in a jar, fill it with honey, make them like you, or at least get off your case as much. Mm-hmm. It's a sweetening their disposition, so it kind of rides that line of free will, but it doesn't change their mind. It just kind of softens it a bit. So how to do the honey jar, how and why, and how to maintain. And this was a fun thing about automatic writing and how to. So that seems to be making kind of a comeback. And I think, what's her name? Sydney Kaza, who's been on some haunted shows. When she's been on, that's one of her ways of channeling is using automatic writing. Now, the one thing that I kind of disagreed with a little bit, she put in here about how like you'll have whole words or sentences, and that's not always the case. Sometimes it's that hand movement that quiets one side of your mind so you can hear or perceive or get the information in your mind. It's not always a written word or sentence for that matter. But she goes over it, scrying with crystal balls, doing tarot at your kitchen table. And she gives you some quick interpretation, but it's more about like what the nights mean, what the numbers mean. It is by no means a full in-depth, like here's what every card in the tarot means, upright, reverse, flip it, smack it, rubber down. Does not go that far into it, but some basics. But I thought the automatic writing, the money jars, and that petition writing, because a lot of people are coming into doing their own work. So here's one way to do your own work. That's not just etch something on a candle, light the candle, and let it go. Here's doing more active hands-on work.
And I think that you'll find with doing more active hands-on work or getting a good foundation for a working out of a book is good, but then you got to kind of make it your own too. Mm-hmm. Your intention and your intuition, right? Those are two big things.
So $16.99. This author also has Kitchen Table Tarot that does tarot.
Nice.
And more in-depth in how to use.
Brooke thinks she has that, and she also was like evil HOA. They are. That's why I did find a house once that I really loved, but when I realized it was attached to an HOA, I couldn't do it. Mm-mm.
That's going to be a challenge getting a house in Tucson. There's so many HOAs everywhere. I was learning that the last time I was down there.
If we end up in the middle of nowhere in Tucson, no HOAs.
That's right.
Just UFOs.
Which the HOA would be UFOs, rattlesnakes, and scorpions.
Right. I'd rather deal with them than an HOA.
Right. I'll do this one because I'm standing here and it's pretty. This is one of those hardbacks that have the textured soft like cover. So you want to pet the book, love the book.
Touch the house witch. Is it the same feeling?
Does it? Oh, that's like a textured fabric cover. Mm-hmm. This has that not quite.
I want to touch it.
touch it? You want to touch my book?
I want to touch
You know you want to touch my book.
I touched the book.
Spank the book.
I did.
This is a
I abused
this
the
is an
book.
all ages show, ma'am.
Hey.
The Mindful Witch, a daily journal for manifesting a truly magical life. This is a hardback, and it is $17.99. This whole thing I did not tab because the whole thing is really pretty, and I liked so many things in here.
It was kind of like my holistic one.
Yeah, this is just a really pretty book. So if you're somebody who you like getting down deep into yourself, how and why things work, how to work better with yourself, with the environment around you, this would be right up your alley. In all of the writing spaces. What does the month of February mean to you? What are you grateful for at this time? Jot down your own ideas for correspondences for February here. So this is almost kind of like something that could accompany like a book of shadows, because as you're finding out more about yourself, the correspondences and the things that those mean to you,
Some good prompts too.
then yeah, really good prompts, really pretty. It's not just a boring little journal. It's really pretty. Then you can take that information that you're discovering about yourself and how you interact with the world around you and use that in writing your own spell work. But this whole thing, really, really pretty. We've got a handful of them in because I wanted to see what they look like before I ordered a bunch.
Yes, that is a beautiful book.
And I was pleasantly surprised. Plenty in there to do and work on. There's prompts for every month, along with all of the correlations and correspondences. But yeah, there's stuff in here to keep you occupied for the year.
And it's not
So-
it's not too much. You
No.
know, some journals with prompts are just too much.
You know, April mindfulness and reflections, the flower moon. So if you're somebody's like, what's that moon called in each month? She's going to tell you. How can you create more abundance in your life? What do you need to tend in your own personal garden that you can reap the results from later? So, you know, kind of low key calling you out on your own shit, but with pretty artwork and watercolor art around it, so you don't feel so bad about it. But yeah, it's a really pretty journal. And $17.99.
I like it.
It's pretty. It's really pretty.
I take back my spanking.
Yeah.
So Mistletoe said she could use that. Let us know, Mistletoe. Melissa will tell you all about how to tell us if you would like.
Yeah. Let me go grab Mistletoe. Are you local, hun? To like the Cleveland area? Let me grab my paper. If you are outside of the area, send me an email, please, to goddesselite@gmail.com. Let me know what you would like off the live and if I need to ship for you, and we'll set them aside. No, sadly. Okay, well, you know what, honey? We can still ship. And I made sure all the books we're talking about tonight were available on the website too. So even if you don't claim it tonight, but it's bugging you in the morning, you're like, I should have grabbed it. These are all available on the website.
Dun, dun, dun. Anybody else a Harry Potter fanatic like me? Oh, look at these bookmarks. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Harry Potter. Oh, and this one, I love this one. It goes with a tarot deck.
There is an oracle deck, yeah.
An oracle deck. Thank you. I love it. So
But
more bookmarks.
Yeah, that one's only $1.
A whole $1. I love it. It's so
Kind of
cute.
reminds me of Where the Wild Things Are.
Yes, that's exactly what it reminds me.
I miss working at my Borders and all the books and all the
Oh.
free things.
That's why she loves doing this. Hearth and Home Witchcraft.
Words are hard.
Blah,
Okay.
blah, 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 by Jeannie Blonde. The Comfy Cozy Witch, she is known as.
She is running around in her flannel pajamas and slippers, that
Mhm.
comfy cozy witch.
So in the beginning, which I didn't really mark up, she kind of, not only does it give a table of contents, she talks about some of the tools. I think we kind of understand. Even if you're a beginner, you kind of have an idea. So I'm kind of skipping through that. But what I thought was interesting was Earth and Home deities, fairies and sprites, and how to choose one. Because I guess I never thought about having one. in my house.
About the only one I would really want, and what I found hilarious when I learned about these, they're brown. They're called brownies, and they're about 3 foot tall. And I'm like, oh, Girl Scouts about that size and age are called brownies.
So hobgoblins are the English version of brownies, also called hobs for short.
Hey, Hobbs, how's it going?
They spend much of their time in their family's kitchen or at the hearth, once thought to be the spirit of the hearth or guardian of the fireside. They're known to bond with particular families and stay loyal to those families, moving from home to home as the family does.
Hi, Zach.
So I thought that was fun. I ran out of posties when I was doing this one. Again, she kind of includes Wheel of the Year and goes into detail over what you can do, gives you some recipes. Again, this one covers a little more small rituals for home protection, kitchen and altars, kitchen meditation. Lots of fun ingredients. This one, herby biscuits. Again, nothing crazy. Easy to find.
Biscuits.
Notes, I know, just sounds good.
Biscuits.
A note on sacred spaces. She kind of talks about how to set it up indoors, your sacred room. And she goes on to say, well, it first started to be, this space, my office, but then maybe it's the kitchen. But I really like the bathroom off my bedroom because that's where I can go and relax. So your sacred space doesn't necessarily have to be one specific area of your home. It can be all of it.
I mean, how many moms hide in the bathroom from their kids?
Right? I mean, how many commercials were made from, showing the moms hiding in the bathroom from their kids, eating Milano cookies or something?
I get it now. Like, I used to wonder why. Like, why is mom in the bathroom?
Why did that happen?
And then I had kids, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
So this one also goes on to talk a little more about gardens, how you can do a lunar garden, deity gardens, tea gardens, witchy self-care. And I love this. My reintroduction to meditation. How many people besides me struggle with it? I even went to the dollar store and bought a $1.25 store face mask to put over my eyes to help me with my meditation. So she kind of talks about how to get back into it, especially if you've fallen away from it. She also gives recipes for self-care, some rituals, again, easy stuff. Your everyday rituals, how easy it is, your intentions in your coffee, everybody's heard about that, or your tea, stirring in or trying to take it out to start your day.
On, stir in,
stir out. So this one is really kind of nice. A lot of easy everyday things you can do. And it wasn't bad. She has, recipes for tea for a headache, tea for digestion. And this one is only $18.95. Again, it's practical for all of your house, not just your kitchen. And you can figure out how to work with a hobgoblin. And I'm going to roll right into this simply because they're so similar but yet different. So the House Witch. This one's by Erin Murphy Hiscock. This one, she incorporates not just what is hearthcraft and what is spiritual to you and how to focus on it, but I believe she also talks about today's kitchen. It's not just old stuff, but including your appliances, your modern appliances that wouldn't have been included when hearthcraft really became, or kitchen
before they had
became.
Vitamix.
Yeah, before you had a refrigerator or a stove.
What about your milk frother? Is that covered in there?
It might be. So she talks about how to locate it, because obviously not everybody has a fireplace in their home. She goes on to talk about the cauldrons, how to use it, why it's important, what it symbolizes. Again, deities are covered in here. This one, though, gives a lot more detail on each one and who they are. So these two books may be similar, but they are definitely different. While this one is hardback, I want to say this one does cover
A little bit
more of your entire house, even though this says the house witch.
Brooke's like, I use my milk frother to mix my matcha.
Brooke
I would
would.
too. I would too.
Hey,
We're almost done. There's a
we
light
have
at the end of the
two
table.
books left.
3.
3. You have one in your hand already?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting there, guys.
We are. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody who's been there the whole time. So, the Witch's Master Grimoire, I kind of covered this one and the Old Girls book when we did the New Year's prosperity things. I finally remembered why I showed these before. I'm like, I know I talked about this. So, The Witch's Master Grimoire, an encyclopedia of charms, spells, formulas, and magical rites by Lady Sabrina. This one is $14.99. I could have probably bookmarked or tabbed more in here, but I felt like some of it was kind of repetitive. You've heard it before or read it before. But this is one of the first books that it goes over binding magic, and specifically certain ones like to stop gossip, to bind a lover. So not as many, because that can ride that line of morality, but it's kind of covered in there. Some people, depending on the tradition of the craft that you're in, you may hear of like drawing down the moon. She tells you how to do that, because there's only like 2 other authors that I can think of that really ever cover that.
Right.
It's Raven Grimassi and Mora.
Right. It's not
So-
talked about often.
So she goes over that for you, how to do it, why it's important, and why you would wanna.
Tell me why.
People who like to use a lot of incense and you're like, how can I work that into my magical working? She gives you like some common incense scents and what they are representing and what they do, like vetiver for love, luck, money.
Like their correspondences.
Patchouli, money, and lust. I don't know about lust because I hate the smell of patchouli.
Yeah, it's not.
That would
It's
drive
not
me
a top
away.
5 or 10 or 20 for me.
That's one of those you love it or hate it, and I'm way over on the hate it side, but I know others like it. And then using metals, precious metals, in your workings, and so you got your planetary qualities, their references. And a fun note, Zach and I did a podcast on using 4 of the common metals in folk magic,
Yes.
what they represent and do. So this could be an addition. If you haven't listened to that, that is on the Boxed Wine and Witchcraft podcast. We also went into common minerals found in folk magic and how to use it. So the copper, lead, tin, mercury, iron, silver, and gold. So you can how you can use that. And then for some of us who like the more complicated, even if you're just reading about it and you like collecting the info, how to use Solomon seals. Although the 4th pentacle of Jupiter, a lot of people feel safe with that one. That is a talisman that you can do for wealth and abundance. But there's quite a few in here. Yeah, the 4th pentacle of Jupiter, used to acquire great wealth, riches, and honor. It should be engraved on silver and used to enhance prosperity and money. Drawing rituals or spells will bring honor as well as wealth to its owner. So sometimes that's where you get like engraved in silver. Do you have silver laying around? If not, get some of that silver flaking, or,
Silver
gotta
filings.
you got to get creative sometimes. Water correspondences and how to use that. So I felt it's pretty fun. And if you're somebody that you like collecting the info to create your own spell casting and your own workings, this is a lot of that.
A lot of that base knowledge
Yeah.
to build on.
Like a lot of ingredients are in here for you to then make your own recipe for it. But I'm one of those, I like collecting that info in case I ever need it. This one is a relatively newer book, Mountain Conjure and Southern Rootwork by Orion Foxwood. How much you want to bet that's not really his government name, but that's okay. It's fun.
It's a cool one either way.
Right. $18.95. It's a trade. But it's relatively new. Matt Aron, who wrote Psychic Witch, gave a foreword in here. So if you're a fan of Matt, you'll probably like his foreword. So I tapped more in the back that I found interesting to me. Because again, some of this, if you're somebody that's been in a while, this might be repetitive to you. The fun stuff, a recipe for attracting prosperous spirits. So prosperous spirits of your land, of the area around you, how to attract them, how to work with them, how and what to do with it. And a hunting money pot. And that was new to me, hunting money. So money that you find, how to add it to your own money pot, which Zach in that same podcast for Metals and Folklore tells you how to make a money pot. And then I'm like, oh, within a day of he and I recording and me putting I found this, and I'm like, this is so cool. So everybody hears, like, if you find coins and it's heads up, it's meant for you. Read the date or something. Somebody's trying to talk to you. But if it's not heads up, he tells you how to be able to claim it. And then you add it to that pie and it hunts out other money for you to keep it coming. So I found that really interesting. I had not come across that before. How to properly obtain graveyard dirt, how and why and where, and then how to safely leave the graveyard after obtaining. You don't just turn around and walk out.
No.
So all of those instructions. How to make an ancestor pot. So if you're somebody looking to work with your ancestors, how to do it honorably and consistently, instructions how and what to do with it. How to work with the river and how to divine with the river, get the river to work for you and with you. Most people don't think to work with moving water.
They only think to dispense or dispose of.
Mm-hmm. How to connect to the consciousness of that river and work with it. And it's fun because in my shamanic practice, every body of water is a female spirit and they have titles and ranks and you work with them. It's not just random water floating around. There's a entity attached to that body of water, how to work with them. And let's see. I found it interesting that they talk about using peony roots and archangel roots and master roots. So everybody's used to hearing high John, low John, chewing John and everything. But if you are up, especially on the eastern coast, those eastern mountains, how many people have peony bushes and peony roots and peony? How to use them?
I have peonies.
Yeah, peonies. I used to have peonies in my yard at the house. And those were some of my favorite flowers. And the little fun note, like the plants, the peony bush relies on the ants that are always in that bush to make the flowers open.
Yep. If they don't do their job, it will not bloom.
Yep. So it's a codependent relationship the plant and the ants have together. So this was a fun book. New things even I learned, like the hunting money. The explanation between the John roots, high John, low John, chewing John, male roots and female roots, how to use them, what they look like. So if you're somebody that you're into folk magic, folk work, conjure, this could be a fun book to kind of add to your collection. But again, Orion Foxwood, and it is $18.95.
Nice.
And you've got the last book, ma'am.
Dun, dun, dun. Almost. Bird Magic, also by Sandra Kynes. Wisdom of the Ancient Goddess and for Pagans and Wiccans. So when I first looked at this book, I was like, really? Birds? I mean, I like birds, but I wasn't sure. And I can tell you that it's much more interesting. Death and regeneration symbols, birds that go with it. Eggs, different working, symbolism. But then I also found bird, is it Ogham? Am I saying that right?
Ogham sticks.
Ogham sticks, yes. So I thought that was interesting. So it gives you not only the Ogham sticks, but it gives you the letters and the birds or any alternatives. And then it goes on and talks about how to collect feathers, what to do with them, how to make your own, how to cut a found feather to make a quill, in case you felt drawn to use a quill, maybe for your grimoire, your Book of Shadows, your journaling, making your grocery list, whichever. And then it goes on talking about some birds, and I kind of just randomly went through, and it was ironic that I came across the first one that I really came to was the falcon, also known. Also, within that is the American kestrel, the merlin, and the peregrine falcon. So she gives a description, what magical workings, how you can make the connection. And that the Eye of Horus is actually a strong talisman to help make that connection with a falcon. And then its associations, this is what made me laugh, was Capricorn, which I am, as much as Melissa despises that. I just thought it was ironic that I came to that. And one of the goddesses, so it gives you the goddesses, the gods, it gives you the solar system, how to identify it. She goes into detail with that. So for anybody who's drawn to birds or wants to know what a bird means, why am I seeing this bird? I think this is a good book. Another one that I came across was the blue jay. So you have just in general the jay family, which they are a member of the corbies, which are one of the smarter birds. My grandmother always said they were like the junkyard of the bullies of the forest because they're so loud. But it talks about how to make connections, what they're associated with. Ironically, they're associated with Gaia, which makes me laugh. Their tree is the oak. And then I also picked out, excuse me, and I'll put my bookmarks back if you guys want them. There's even domesticated, right? Oh. So here's one for parrots and parakeets. It covers your African gray parrots, your yellow-headed parrots, and parakeets. And it, again, gives you the working. The parrot is a bird of abundance, echoing the fertility of its rich tropical origins. So you can call on the parrots to grace your altar at Ostera and Beltane, as well as Mabon. You can also give a boost to your creativity. It's also good for boosting love spells. So you can call on it for support when you're engaging in divination. Both birds are associated with communication and prophecy. I thought that was interesting. Again, goes on about identification. And the last one I picked were pelicans. I don't know why. I must have been drawn to pelicans. So the American white pelican and the brown pelican. And how to connect, again, is in here. How to identify and the magical workings. I love this. I will read it quickly. This rather gawky looking bird shows us that all is not way be what it seems. Ungainly when walking, a pelican is a masterful high flyer that gracefully soars across the sky, representing wisdom and spiritual growth. It can be called upon for support in the pursuit of knowledge. Also, call on the power of this bird to aid in personal and spiritual transformations. It's an aid for boosting spells to manifest abundance, as long as your prosperity and good fortune are shared in the spirit of generosity and kindness. I thought that was neat. So there's so many different birds throughout here. And again, it gives a nice detail. I mean, there's starling. There's things that here in Northeast Ohio we would find. But then there's also some birds that maybe you wouldn't see. So
how fun.
It was definitely a little more interesting than what I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie. I was a little hesitant
to get in with that one.
To get into that one.
Yes, Lisa. I found way in the publication page. This is a re-release, and the old title was The Candle in the Crossroad.
Oh, very nice.
So if you already have that one, you don't need it again. So yeah, Mountain Conjure and the Southern Root Work used to be Candle in the Crossroad. So... But if anybody wants any of the copies, let us know. We can leave our tabs so you don't have to go find where we were talking about. These are available on the website, and this book review will live up on YouTube forever and ever, as long with past ones. So you can go back and watch. I think the last one we did was like October, November, because then the holidays got crazy.
I feel like it was November, but I don't remember.
So if you're new to our book review ramblings, you can go back and watch old ones and see what might pique your interest. But thanks for hanging with us, everybody. It's time to get something to drink and maybe something to eat, because you
Yes.
figure that's been an hour and a half of book talk.
It has been. Thanks for staying around.
Thank you, everybody. And for all of my friends over on Twitch, we will raid out. Hopefully, if I do this correctly. But keep an eye out. We're going to do this monthly. We do lives every Thursday evening, 7:30 Eastern time. Different topics, different things we talk about. So join us. And no pressure to buy or claim anything. Just come and hang out and talk and say hi.
And it really does help. I think it helps. There's so many different books out there that at least you get an idea of what content is within each. I think it'll help narrow down.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, if I could own all the books that I really wanted, I'd need a bigger house and a much bigger budget.
And reinforce your floors to support the weights.
Yes.
One of
Yes.
my previous customers from Borders had to reinforce his house because of his book
Wow.
collection. And I'm like, I envy you.
Yes. So the if anybody's ever seen Beauty and the Beast, the library in Beauty and the Beast, that's like life goals right there.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. But keep an eye out. So we're going to do this more, probably monthly as things are coming out. And but you can join us every Thursday for whatever random shenanigans that we are live and talking about new items, new things. Feel free to put in requests. We're also live every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about ghosts with the Ghost Whisperer herself, Marianne Winkowski. The TV show The Ghost Whisperer was based off of her.
Maybe we'll cover some of her books in one of our
One of
next
those. Yeah.
review.
Especially that when ghosts speak, it's the one that we default to all that. How do I remove a curse? Chapter 13. How do I this? Chapter
How do I
7.
get rid of negative energy? How do I?
Yeah.
How do I? How
It's
do
always
I?
this book.
Mhm.
So, but thank you everybody for joining, and keep an eye out. And you'll probably see us live more often as we come up with. I love your tarot folding divider. Thanks, Home Depot. They're available on Home Depot if you feel the need to have one. They're Home Depot. Of all the places, Home Depot has them.
Well, and yeah, it's interesting, huh? Home Depot.
Yeah, the Home Depot.
Home Depot.
But thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night.
Bye.